The Ten Commandments is something, I studied in school, memorized them, and as time went on, I'm seeing they're not allowed to be published in schools, almost viewed by society as a bad thing. I met a doctor of theology. They couldn't recite, and couldn't even recite the Ten Commandments, let alone order, name a few of them. I decided to unpack the Ten Commandments and reframe them because I think morally they're good for mankind. So instead of me focusing on the three commandments that pertain to our Creator, I let them focus to the Creator's gift, or creation is mankind. So I kind of reframed each commandment into something that was more applicable. But instead of do not kill, I wish my parents said, Joseph, nurture other human beings, help them become more successful. Instead of do not steal, I wish they taught us, be generous with your time, talent, and treasures. So I kind of took that venue of those 10 commandments and made them 10 modern commitments, which I think would do very well if they're published in schools for mankind.
So what would you tell people who maybe their default isn't focused on the 10 commandments or the way of being generous and giving and kind? How can we instill that more into our daily life, you think? Is there a story in your life where you feel like this was really demonstrated, you realizing that you want to live more with these commitments? Can you think of a challenge?
That with the business, there are many challenges where...
Today I'm speaking with Joe Elphick. He is an author of True Fulfillment, 10 Commitments. He's reframed the 10 Commandments into 10 Commitments because he saw that the 10 Commitments were so just about what not to do. And you want to reframe the 10 Commandments into 10 Commitments to show people what we should be doing, how to live a fulfilling life, because he's retired now, ran a successful business, exited it. And if you're interested in living a more fulfilling life, how to give more, how to forgive more, how to really just be at peace with yourself and love more from a person that has done a lot, then listen to this episode. Joe Elphick, very wonderful guy from North Carolina, and his book is quite enjoyable to hear about. I especially enjoyed the stories about his factory plants burning down. Not the fact that that happened, but just his stories of how he overcome tough moments. So stick around and let's go. I would like to know, what's something that people maybe don't know about you that you wish people knew, actually?
Well, I'm not secretive, and I'm not boisterous. That's a good question, but I guess I am stumped by that. You have different venues of people. You have customers, ex-customers, friends. I think my friends know everything about me. In this book, I don't get into too much of my personal life. I was raised a Catholic, and I learned in life that religions have a way of making people fight with each other. So I didn't want my book to be about religion. I wanted to be about mankind. And I've moved away from being a strict Catholic. I was brought up my children that way. And I moved to more of a non-denominational type faith or belief. And on the island where I live, there's one chapel, and it's non-denominational. And every Sunday you could have anything from a Quaker to a Methodist to a Catholic come and do services. The neat thing is the whole community comes together for an hour of a very informal service, but it's quite enlightening and gives you a lot of time for reflection.
Really? And how has that helped you become less, focused on one path or religion? How has that helped you?
Yeah, no, I think it's more about tradition. Parents being Irish Catholics, you had to be a Catholic, and that's where you're raised. Went to Catholic school from kindergarten to high school, and raised my children Catholic. They went to Catholic schools, and as time went on, and you start getting out of your shell, and you meet different people, and you really start seeing what some organized faiths and religions have done damage to. I shouldn't. That's not a fair thing to say, but damage has come out of people defending their faith and their religion. Has made a difference. In my book, I talk about one of the beginnings of this. I went to a public speaking weekly seminar to be a better public speaker, and at the end they had a debate. And you didn't know which side of this debate you're going to be on. All strangers. I didn't know anybody in class, about 20 people. And the debate was going to be religion, good or bad for mankind. So then, just by 25 years ago, I said, well, I hope I'm on the good for mankind because I believe in religion, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, I learned the day before this debate that I had to defend religion was bad for mankind. Again, I want you to remember, this is before Google, before the internet. Maybe the internet was just starting then. I had to go to a library for a day and a half to research. how religion was bad for mankind. And it was quite enlightening. You looked at the Crusades, you looked at,
Mm.
Ireland, Catholics against Protestants, and you just see people fighting over stuff, Middle Eastern issues. And it just kind of put a light on. But at the end of the day, I won the debate, but I still think religion's good for mankind. I personally think it's good for mankind, but certainly
Awesome.
something you shouldn't be fighting over.
It sounds like a pretty powerful moment there.
It was.
And so now with this book that you have out, um, it's also very powerful. You're talking all about happiness. Why this topic?
Yeah, that's a great question, Oscar. I'm not one to write a book. I don't even like to read books. I don't like to read novels, things of that nature. But this thing kind of haunted me. The Ten Commandments is something, I studied in school, memorized them. And as time went on, I'm seeing they're not allowed to be published in schools, almost viewed by society as a bad thing. And my kids could not recite the Ten Commandments. I met a doctor of theology. They couldn't recite and couldn't even recite the Ten Commandments, let alone order, name a few of them. And it really perplexed me is why can everybody hate these things? They don't even know them. And it
Yeah.
turns into this
You have to
thing
memorize.
again. We got to fight over religion or something. So I decided to unpack the Ten Commandments and reframe them because I think morally they're good for mankind. If you look at them, two of the Ten Commandments are positive. They tell you what to do. The other eight tell you what not to do. The two tell you what to do is honor thy father and mother and keep holy the Lord's day. And then there's three of them that pertain to our Creator and seven pertain to us as mankind. And yet this is deemed as religious. So I decided to unpack them. And instead of focusing on this is something about our Creator, I think everybody's creator or their God believes that we were created by something bigger than us. So instead of me focusing on the three commandments that pertain to our Creator, I let them focus to the Creator's gift or creation is mankind. So let me just get this in front of my book to help me just show you, outline the chapters. There's 10 chapters in this. And the first chapter is the first commandment is thou shalt not have strange gods before me. And so I label that forgiveness. The second one is you shall not use the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Name the next chapter kindness. So I kind of reframed each commandment into something that was more applicable and a list of do's. Just think about this. Your mother is teaching 10 commandments and you say, all right, Joseph, do not commit adultery, do not kill, do not steal. Well, that's pretty easy to do when you're a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. But instead of do not kill, I wish my parents said, Joseph, nurture other human beings, help them become more successful. Instead of do not steal, I wish they taught us, be generous with your time, talent, and treasures. So I kind of took that venue of those 10 commandments and made them 10 modern commitments, which I think would do very well if they're published in schools for mankind.
%, making it easier and more accessible for, like you said, bringing the world together as well. That's really powerful. Which one of the 10 commandments was like hardest for you to reframe, I guess, personally?
Well, that's a good question. I think the first one. The first one is to have no strange gods before me. I said, my, how does that happen? And you think about this, well, it boiled down to we're not perfect. There's not a human being that's perfect. So if we're not perfect, why can't we forgive each other? Because nobody's perfect. And I use the symbol as the Pac-Man, that little game we used to play, Pac-Man. And it was a circle, but I always had a piece missing. And I said, that piece is our imperfection. And every human being has a piece of imperfection in them. So they're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And the power of forgiveness is strong. The power of apology is yet stronger. And it gets into that if you live in this world of never forgiving anybody, the world is on your shoulders. It's tough. But when you forgive people, if they're truly sorry, if they truly apologize, it's all released and you feel good. And you move on to something else. It doesn't become that 300-pound gorilla in the room.
100%. Did you feel like that's after having written this book, or was it something you were realizing throughout your life?
It's a good question. I think when I wrote the book, I spent a lot of quiet time sequestered in a room for anywhere up to on a Monday from 10 o'clock, sometimes till 8 o'clock at night, really working on this. It got very philosophical. And the more I wrote it, the more I thought about it, the better it became. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. But when you start doing research on something like forgiveness and the scientific data that's out there, when you are forgiven or you forgive people, and I outline all that in the book, it's amazing, this encouragement to forgive. And once you start letting go of these angst that you might have about certain individuals and realize that you're not perfect either. We all carry that imperfectness with us.
Mm.
It just makes the world a lot better. It turns you a more positive person.
Yeah. 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 That's, I think forgiveness is one of the most powerful things I also learned when I was younger. Just being very into meditation and more spirituality, being able to let go of, yeah, like you said, just having that weight on your shoulders. Very powerful.
Yep. And
And
when you forgive somebody, the person who benefits the most is the one who's doing the forgiving, not the one
yeah.
who's been forgiven. It's the one who actually is forgiving somebody else is the real benefactor.
Is there someone that you had a hard time forgiving?
There certainly are people because those people are the same. They're not sorry. They're not apologetic. So my book, I say that's where you just take this to neutral. You don't put that on your channel of life. You don't focus on that
Mm.
person anymore. They don't have to become an enemy. You don't call them every week. They're not part of your scheme. So I guess ignore that because it's going to be there and you just got to accept they are going to be that kind of person, but you don't have to bring them into your inner circle.
Yeah. 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 No, that's very true. And at what moment was it that you felt like the Ten Commandments weren't serving you as much anymore? I wanted to reframe this.
Yeah, I never said that they weren't serving me. What I think I really
Mm.
was amazed by because they
Mm.
were not accepted by society or they thought it's a bad thing with separation of state and religion. And I'm
Mm.
saying these are moral values. They build what and what I found out is as much as they're not allowed in schools, I use that as an example. People don't practice them because they don't know them or they don't memorize them.
Yeah.
They really and they don't apply them or reframe them to today's moral values.
When was that?
I would say when I wrote this book, it started let's see, it took me about a year to write the book. So I retired in 2020 and, you start doing more traveling, driving a little more, your brain starts thinking a lot more and reflecting a lot more, meditating a lot more. And I kept wrestling with this, why are the 10 commandments bad? Why is that? And then when I started looking at them a few years ago, I said, man, these are jewels in here for mankind.
Mm.
If everybody could practice this, if everybody could practice more forgiveness, think
Mm.
what this world would be like. If people
Yeah.
could just be more generous, forget about stuff, don't steal. That's obvious, don't
Basic.
steal. But how about with their time, your talent, your
Mm.
treasures, you share them with other people and
Mm.
do more of that. Again, it makes the world a better place. It makes you a happier person. And, I look at my friends, I could say they all seem very fulfilled and they all seem to be the same kind of people. They're generous. They really are the positive side. And, I was asked a couple weeks ago, well, these friends, where'd you meet them? And most of these friends I met at different charities that I support, I'm very active in. They were part of that. So these are people, the same venue. They want to be generous. They want to give back. We kind of just gel together, it's almost like glue that makes us want to be together.
That's awesome. You found those types of people as well.
Hmm.
Helping out a lot. And so you retired in 2020, started writing on this book. How far do you hope this book goes, or what kind of impact you hope it makes?
Yeah, that's a good question. The impact I really want are from grandkids and kids not around. But then as I wrote the book, I thought it'd be very impactful for kids going off to college, newly married couples. Again, this book, I want to say, is not a novel. It's a playbook. On my personal calendar, I have each of those 10 commitments 1 week from about a year out. 1 week, like on a Sunday, it's going to say generosity. It will say nurture. And I think it's a playbook because these things, these 10 commitments everybody has the ability to exercise them. But it's like you don't go to the gym for that. You don't work these muscles out. And if you could read one chapter a week and just live it and breathe it for a week, those muscles start to get exercised. I think
Mm.
predominantly everybody's good. Sometimes we don't know how to be good. We don't know how to get better. We don't exercise that venues using generosity as an example, you focus on that in a week. And it's not about money. It's not about that. It's about your time, your talent, and treasures.
Hmm.
What can you give to other people? How can you volunteer to help people? And, it's again, I support two charities very active and just the friends that come out of that, the amount of volunteers, the two events that I hold, the amount of
Mm.
generous people that come together at these events. It's miraculous. And they grow year after year, these events in terms of support for these charities.
What kind of charities are you going to?
I have two, one for the past 30 years. It's called the Children's Flight of Hope, where we fly sick children to specialized hospitals for people that can't afford it. A lot of people have insurance that your kids could get somewhat fixed, but that hospital could be 1,000 miles away and they can't afford the airfare to get there timely. And Children's Flight of Hope, we take care of the child, not the event. So when we take on a child, we're with that child till they're cured or till they die. And it's thousands of dollars to fly these people in and out. A lot of them can't fly commercial. We have that option commercial, but a lot of it be private jets. So we recruit corporations to volunteer that. We do fundraisers and things of that nature. To make that happen. It's a very rewarding charity. Having children, when you get to see some of these unfortunate people or children or suffer that would move heaven and earth to fix these kids, it makes you really appreciate what you have
Yeah.
in terms of health. And the other one is called Rebuilding Warriors. A friend of mine I met contemplated suicide a few times, a staff sergeant, 4 tours of Iraq. He lost 17 buddies to suicide. And the Rebuilding Warriors supplies service dogs. And this service dogs saved this guy's life. And they cost 15,000 a piece. And Rebuilding Warriors have over 11 years have put out 169 dogs, and only one person received a dog committed suicide. 68 vets are alive today, and they're very thankful for these dogs, what they do. I can't explain that magic. I won't get into that, but the numbers, how it works is phenomenal. So I have a fishing tournament every year. I had the first one last year. We bought one dog, 15,000. And next year we're making a week out of it. Our goal is to have at least 3 dogs. The community, people flock to that. Children's Flight of Hope, I have a wine dinner every year. It's my 5th year, was last March. We raised $183,000, limited to 70 people. This becomes very purposeful for me. I'm retired now. It gives me something to think about, something to do. I don't want to take any more than 2 charities. I'd rather give a lot to 2 than a little
Yeah.
to many. Yeah.
That's very meaningful. It's focusing on charity when you retire as well, don't you think?
Sure.
It's something that I've thought about, but my mind always goes to like doing business first. What makes you want to, or what was the, I guess if you could go back, would you still want to focus on business or switch to charity?
I always said both. The Rebuilding Warriors is a charity I picked up after I retired about a year ago. Children's Flight of Hope, I've been part of that for over 30 years. I was on their board. It's centered in Raleigh, North Carolina. I moved to the coast, and I resigned from the board. I couldn't be active day to day. I couldn't be an effective board member. But I told them I would do some fundraising. I'd still make my number one charity to support. So I decided a wine dinner might be a really good thing to do. And since 5th year and first year, we raised like 50,000. Like I said, now it's 180,000, 183,000, and it's limited to 70 people. I think we're going to rename it this year, the Classy Invitational, because again, it goes back to classy people that help people that they don't even know who they are and want nothing in return.
That's so powerful. From the going back to the book, like you're very focused on giving now. So what would you tell people who like maybe their default isn't focused on the 10 commandments or like, I mean, the way of being generous and giving and kind? How can we instill that more into our daily life, you think?
Well, again, I think that's what my book is about, taking the 10 commandments and change it into 10 commitments. 10 commitments that will be good for mankind. And because you're not generous doesn't mean you don't know how to be generous, but you have to practice that. And use generosity because it's easy. A lot of people think it's about money. I mean, your time, you could volunteer. Your talents, you could cook or play a guitar. If you have a lot of money, you could donate. And the more of that giving and you see it being used in a way that improves people's lives, you feel real good about it. And the more you do it and you meet these people, you meet volunteers. The Children's Flight of Hope have hundreds of volunteers. And, these different events that they have, and you meet them, it's a whole community, a community of giving, and all for the right purpose. There's nothing anybody gets in return except for, feeling good about this. There's no plaque on anybody's wall. It's just seeing these families that you're really helping and knowing that you're instrumental in that is, to me, very rewarding. And I think when people practice and do more and more of it, it's I don't know, like eating French fries, man. You're not going to stop at one.
That's a good one. Which of the 10 commitments do you feel like is the one you want to do more of at the moment?
Well, I'd have to say all of them. I think you shouldn't ignore any of them in the 10 commitments because they're all good and they all make you feel good. Again, I have to refer to them to put them in order. 10 commandments help learn to forgive more, learn to be more kind, learn to understand gratitude, be it more in your family, nurture others, be loyal, loyal to even your baseball team, loyal to your friends, loyal to each other, loyal to your spouse, generosity we talked about, honesty. I mean, why not practice honesty in every which way? Being fully honest, be respectful. I mean, these are all good things. Be appreciative. The book talks about one commandment is gratitude, one commitment is gratitude, the other is appreciation. People think that's the same. They're very different. Gratitude is when it's internalized. You're so happy for all these things. You have to think about it sometimes. Take some quiet time and say, what do I have to be thankful in my life? For me, it's never anything material. It's these relationships that I have, people I've met. And then appreciation is calling somebody up and appreciating what they do. Like for me to appreciate, I appreciate what you're doing today in this podcast. To show appreciation, and it's very powerful. The more you appreciate things, the more positive energy comes into your life.
You feel like you were always like this?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was never an angel. Never don't plan, but it's not about me. It comes to a point of realization. I ran marathons. I had a business for 40 some odd years. I started from nothing, sold it. I did a lot of stuff. And get near 70, you start thinking about things. And, I really extremely appreciative for the 70 years I've had. A lot of trial and error. A lot of mistakes were made along the way. And, now I have grandkids and I'd like to help them prevent from making the same mistakes I might have or misjudgments I might have had. So this book is about that.
Do you, so you ran your own business, for a long time. Do you feel like these 10 commitments, even though you hadn't written the book yet, but were still in the back of your mind, or were you focused elsewhere back then?
I think the 10 commitments I practiced before the book. I mean, I think I was always appreciative. I always tried to be honest. I think as I got older, I was more honest than I was younger. The competitive world and teenage life and things of that nature. But as you get older, and especially you start having children, and your life focus changes, and now you're a parent. You have to act differently, for lack of better terms. When you own a company versus work for a company, you act differently. And so I think I practice. I can't say all of them. It's hard for me to really put a number on all those commitments, but I don't think I was ever a bad person. I can't say I was anti any of those commitments.
Of course. So what would you tell like me about to turn 30, running my own business? Something that you wish you knew at my age?
I wish I had this book. Somebody told me to read it. Again, because these commitments are really not taught. I think families might teach them, but again, I think we're taught so many times with a red light instead of a green light. Stop. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Wouldn't it be, I don't know, your life especially, but wouldn't it be great to be told what to do and continue do this, do this, do this, do this. Instead, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I think that is a big game changer in even how you raise children and how we conduct our own lives. I don't think you're a hero if you don't kill and you don't steal, if you don't commit adultery. That doesn't make you a good person if you don't do that, right? I mean, you're not getting a badge because you don't commit adultery. But what can you do? Instead of adultery, why can't you be loyal and get a badge for loyalty? Instead of killing, you're not getting a badge for that, but for nurturing other people, nurturing like the Children's Flight of Hope, or nurturing those families. It's a very positive framework to be in, and it's extremely rewarding. And the more you do it, it gets very impulsive.
Yeah. For sure. Is there a story in your life where you feel like this was really demonstrated, you realizing that you want to live more with these commitments?
I think this comes with retirement and a good life. I had many challenges, but I look at those challenges, you wind up okay. Things went wrong and things turned out right. And here I am retired now. I'm sorry?
Can you think of a challenge?
That with the business are many challenges where, in 2005, 80 employees, my plant burnt to the ground, completely destroyed. And, thank goodness I had good employees, good management team, and they trusted me. I had a good insurance policy. We wrestled through it. And at that time, the company had 80 employees. I had to let them all go, then rehire as we built the company. It was very tough, but they believed in me. I was very honest and candid with them. And then when I sold the company 20 years ago, we had close to 300 employees. And I sold it to a company. It wouldn't be private equity. I sold to a company that was going to take my employees to the next level.
Good. That must have been tough. The whole plant's burning down.
You know what? It was a great lesson in stress management. I don't know if you ever had anything in stress management, but I was taught something that really came to life. I was looking at the building burning down, and I'm like, my goodness, it's 2:00 in the morning. Believe it or not, I was relieved because at 1:00 in the morning, I had a knock on my door. at my house, and there's construction in the front. A policeman came to the back door. There's no doorbell. He's banging on the door at 2 o'clock in the morning. I turn on the back light, and there's a policeman there. First thing I think is one of my three daughters must have escaped the house and something bad. And he says, Mr. Elphick, blah, blah, blah. You owner, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. He goes, your plant's on fire. I was relieved. I thought my kids were somewhere else. So I go out there and the place is blazing like you wouldn't believe. Employees, second shift, everybody's out safe. That was all good. But they're crying, everything's being destroyed. And I'll never forget the stress management class that came to fruition. I looked at the burning building, and the first thing they taught me was figure out the worst case scenario. And if you could handle the worst case scenario, you'll get through it. So I said, okay, the worst case scenario, I lose my business, I'm bankrupt. How am I going to handle that? Well, I have a good family. I have three young daughters. I'm very good in my business. I'll get a job somewhere. I could sell my beach house. I could sell my home, put that money in a bank, and I have the kids' college education paid for. We're good. I'm going to be able to do that. And after that, I was like a cheerleader. We're going to get this thing done because I knew what was important was taken care of. And
Mm.
then, after the next few days, my insurance policy was good. And we burnt down in August and we were up and running the following May, which is a miracle.
Wow, that's very fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Appreciate the story. And what kind of plant was it?
We made, it started real small. I started in 1979 with a $600 investment. We bought a machine that did die cutting and moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. The printing companies down there could print brochures, they could print everything, but they'd have to ship their die cutting to Charlotte to get done. So I set up a plant there, real small plant, and I did trade work for them. And I want to eventually make boxes for boxes. So I found a little niche and farmed out printing and then used Elmer's glue bottles to glue boxes by hand together, did small runs, found little niches. And as time went on, I was able to buy better and better equipment. And again, 2005, when the fire hit, I was on a good roll. We had, a plant full of equipment, good employees, great trajectory, and then it burnt down. Yeah. But after the fire, I didn't lose one employee from employment standpoint. I didn't lose one customer. And I was able to rebuild with the most modern equipment available. And in the pharma world, when you have vision systems on your equipment and you could spot a dot missing off an I or a T that's not crossed, which FDA requires for a lot of this printed labels. It was just, again, I'm a very lucky guy how it all turned out.
I think you also have a very powerful perspective of always looking at what works instead of what doesn't work. That shift instead of what not to do, but what to do. And being lucky like that. How is going back to happiness? Like, how is the definition of happiness? Has that changed between your 30s, 50s, retirement?
I think it does. It does change. It doesn't change. I mean, whatever makes you happy. I mean, it depends where you are. Your children make you happy, right? But if you don't have children, maybe it's your accomplishments that make you happy. Where I sit today, I have three grown daughters and grandchildren. If anything, I want to work some more than I do, but I'm financially secure. I'm very active in do some consulting. These two charities I'm very active in. And it's funny when what happened to me when I retired. I love offshore fishing and golf and all that stuff. But when I retired, I was fishing a lot and golfing a lot. It was horrible. It turned into my job. And I tell you, if you fish in stormy days, you just don't want to do that. And if you have a lousy golf round, it defines you. And I want to focus on some old customers and doing some consulting in the pharma world and doing some charitable work like this. And I serve on a few boards. I feel like I'm productive again. And now, I mean, I put 9 holes of golf in this morning. Was great, because just by myself, actually, I played 9 holes, and it's great to escape to those things rather than be your primary focus. If that makes any sense, I mean, I never would understand it until I lived it.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm realizing it kind of too recently, like that, especially as men, is what we need. We want to be productive. I think a lot because my wife, my girlfriend, she's thinking.
Your wife or your girlfriend?
Not officially married.
I know, I'm just teasing you.
But she's been feeling like kids could be a thing quite soon. But she's also my business partner at the same time. So, but her focus is going a lot more towards that side of life now. But my mind is still a lot on business, right? So, was it easy? Actually, more personal question. Was it easy for you to decide to have kids, actually? Especially if you were so focused on the business.
It's a wonderful question. I come from a family of 9. So I had 4 brothers, 4 sisters, 4 older, 4 younger. It was like, that's what I was supposed to do is have kids. What and I tell you, I did it backwards. I really got married young and then figured it out. It seemed for every child I had and every need, I just had to find a way to support it. Kids going to come. I just had to find a way
Mm,
as a provider. And, my wife stayed home, raised the kids. I said, I'll get this done one way or another. And really, I don't gave me the energy, the drive, but man, I had no other option.
yeah,
I had to make money and I had to grow this business to make it happen. It's frustrating, it's scary at times, but when you give it all and it comes out, it's extremely rewarding.
that's very powerful. That's awesome. I'm I'm asking everyone about kids these days. I don't
Well,
know.
I tell you, having kids, it's awesome, and it's always a challenge. They could be as rewarding and as disappointing too. The teenage years, and if you get levels of disrespect and things that you have a hard time handling, but then all of a sudden stuff just happens, and they turn into these beautiful kids that you want to see every day.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what everybody says. It seems like you become the person that you become who you really need to become, actually, as well. Well, as we start to wrap it up, one of the talks just to finish on the book as well. Like, if there was one legacy message that you could leave for the, let's say, in 100 years, which commitment do you feel like would be the most important, or which message from your book would be most
Mm.
important?
It's hard. It's hard to eliminate any of them. They're all
Mm,
there's 10 of them, and some I guess could be more important than others. I mean, is it more important to be kind versus appreciative? I mean, these are inward and outward thoughts. And these are, again, I think muscles you need to exercise. And I really can't say one is more important than the other. I think it's good to take one at a time. Use this book as a playbook and take one at a time, read that chapter, reflect on it for a week, then go on to the next one a week later.
mm,
And basically, it's a playbook on how you'll become happier and more fulfilled. It's the big truth is about, and this you hear this your whole life, and it's hard to understand, especially when you're a kid and trick or treating, that giving is more fulfilling than receiving. It's really something that becomes true out of an act of maturity.
mm,
But I mean, I much rather at my age where I am today, give presents and watch the
mm.
smiles on kids' faces and get a present. And half the time I don't need what I'm getting, but it's really, that giving is more powerful than receiving. And the
Yeah.
10 commitments are really something. They're not commandments. They're commitments that you should make to yourself and mankind. And if you
Mm.
do, the reward is phenomenal.
Mm. That's probably the special thing about having this wisdom of a whole life, and reminding us younger people that it's not just about taking, but giving, and most important
But I
thing.
mean, these are sayings I heard my whole life.
Yeah.
In order to if you give, you'll receive. And it's these things you hear and you hear again. But when you look back and I look at the benefits that I received from supporting, especially the Children's Flight of Hope, it's nothing I received monetarily. It's this great feeling when you have a letter come to a parent from a parent that
Mm.
the child is going to live and going to be
Mm.
saved. And they couldn't have done it without the help of the Children's Flight of Hope. That's a great feeling that you made a difference in
Yeah.
somebody's life. I'll never forget my middle daughter went to college and we had dinner with some parents. And my daughter asked me, Dad, what do you expect out of college? What do you want from me to graduate college? I said, well, if I could say anything, we graduate college, make this world a better place. And she never forgot it. I forgot I said it to her. So we're at dinner and these other parents say to their daughter, look, the only thing I want you to do these 4 years of college in Wilmington, North Carolina is don't wind up in jail. My daughter fired right back at me. Oh, you got it so easy. My dad wants me to make this world a better place, and you just have to stand at jail. So, yeah.
That's really funny. Yeah, it's always about that perspective. Oh, that's awesome, Joe. What's a question that hasn't been asked that you wish had been asked that you could answer?
Today, right now,
Yeah.
I'm always just here to answer questions. I don't have any kind of list of questions I want to ask or any goals. I guess a good question is who should read this book? Again, I would say this book would be an excellent gift for somebody that is going to get married, going into high school, going into college, and give it to them as a playbook, not a novel to read. Just don't read it once and put it down. The hard covers are not done yet. Right now, it's only soft cover, but this is a book that especially a hardcover, should sit in your bookcase and every now and then just take it out and read a chapter. Maybe if your kid's misbehaving or something, did something wrong, been very cheap and not generous. Give them the book. Say, read this one chapter here. So it's a great playbook to keep. That's what I'm going to be doing with my kids. Hopefully, do the same thing. Is keep it in a bookcase and let it be a reference book and something. I think it's a great playbook for life. These 10 commitments.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Joe. Where can people find out about the book, about you, if they want to learn more?
Yeah. Again, I'm not a future author. I don't want to write books the rest of my life. This book, any money that I get is being donated to these charities. In the book, it mentions an email address, and it's truefulfillment@fastmail.com. I ask for comments, anything, you contact me.
Mm.
And the book could be purchased at Amazon, and it's
Mm.
just True Fulfillment, Joe Elphick, and Amazon has it right now in soft cover only. But next week, I think the hardcover will be available.
Exciting. Awesome. True Fulfillment by Joe Elphick. We'll put everything in the description, and a link to that email as well. So appreciate your time a lot. Very much.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it, Oscar, and good luck with your future broadcasts. I look forward to listening to this real time.
Amazing.